starts right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. The Stephen A. Smith Show coming at you via 250-plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on SiriusXM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by mycomputercareer.edu. Training for a better life. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. Let me say something. I'm going to get into the Lakers having a big game tonight against the Denver Nuggets. I think their season is over. They're not going to the postseason, but nevertheless, considering all the noise that has been made about them this week, obviously I'm in L.A. Their game tonight against Denver. Their game Saturday night against Boston. We saw the Boston Celtics romp the two-time reigning defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors last night. We'll be getting into that, a little bit later. Obviously, we can't avoid doing that. We'll also get into Ramona Shelburne, ESPN NBA reporter extraordinaire. She was on this show yesterday saying some things I wanted to remind y'all about as it pertains to LeBron James. Of course, Bill Plaschke, columnist extraordinaire for the Los Angeles Times. He definitely had some things to say about LeBron. He definitely has some things to say about Jeannie Buss. He definitely has some things to say about the state of the Los Angeles Lakers. He is the voice of L.A. As far as most of us are concerned. He was on the Will Cain show on ESPN Radio yesterday, and we'll play you some bites from that as well. But before that, I've got some things on my mind. And let me state for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. I'm letting you know in advance. Social media, the blogosphere out there, various other entities. I could be in a world of trouble today. I'm a preface my comments by telling you I could be in a world of Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State is going to be the number 6th overall pick and land with the New York Giants. Are we going to hear this stuff about him too? Is that next? Compared to what we heard about Kyler Murray, courtesy of Charlie Casserly of the NFL Network, are we going to hear about Haskins next? Because this guy, Kyler Murray, first we had to concern ourselves with his height. I actually thought he was about 5'8". Turns out to be 5'10" and an 8. 5 foot 10 inches or 10 and 1/8 inches. So you threw that out the way because he's barely tall enough. Then there was a weight issue. He's up to 207 pounds and growing. Then they threw that out the way. The hand size, 9.5. That's bigger than Baker Mayfield's hands. About as big as Russell Wilson's hands. So if he gets popped, whiplashed, or whatever the case may be, he's got sizable hands that enables him to potentially hold on to the football instead of fumbling, which is a plus. We already know, based on the 42 touchdowns that he threw, just 7 interceptions, a vast majority of those 42 touchdowns were thrown in the pocket. So we already know he can throw in the pocket. Then you bring up running. Well, damn it, he's been compared to Michael Vick. So we know the brother can fly. So let's get this straight. There were questions about his height. There was questions about his weight. There was questions about his hand size. There was questions about his ability to throw in the pocket. There was questions about running. All of those things have been answered. And now here we go. Did you hear this? Did you see this? Charlie Casserly, by the way, a man that's been on TV for years, does a really good job. He's done some work with CBS. He's done some work with the NFL Network. This is not Stephen A. Smith questioning the credibility or the competence of individuals that we've seen in these insider roles on television. They do good work. Let me preface my comments by saying, talking about him and the Mike Mayock's of the world, Mr. GM for the Oakland Raiders. Somehow, some way, he's an analyst on the NFL Network, and he goes into being a GM job. I'm still waiting for my call from an NBA team to be a president of basketball operations, because that's how it goes. No experience whatsoever in an NFL front office. But this guy is a GM. Leapfrogs and bypass everybody because the $100 million man known as John Gruden is his buddy. That brings me to a different subject that I'll touch on, but a little bit later. I told you today I'm coming. There will be no guest on the show today. I don't want any guest on the show today. This is 2 hours. This is Stephen A. Smith Show. It's my platform, and damn it, I ain't playing. I got a lot to say. I'm mad we got to go to commercial because commercial takes up my damn time today. That's how pissed off I am. Let's go right down to this quote. Charlie Casserly on Kyler Murray. Heisman Trophy winner, 42 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, completed 69% of his passes. Got you to the college football playoffs just like Baker Mayfield did. And look at this quote about Kyler Murray. Well, he better hope Kingsbury, the unqualified coach of the Arizona Cardinals, fired with a less than 500 record out of Texas Tech, got a job as a coordinator at USC, and before the man had a chance to go to Roscoe's for chicken and waffles, he was the damn head coach of an NFL team. That Cliff Kingsbury, remember him? That guy. Well, listen to this. According to Charlie Casserly of the NFL Network, quote, well, Kyler Murray, he better hope Kingsbury takes him number one because this was not good. This was the worst comments I ever got on a high-rated quarterback, and I've been doing this for a long time. I've probably been doing it longer than you're alive, whatever reporter he was talking to. Fair enough. Anyway, leadership, not good. Study habits, not good. The board work, below, not good. Not good at all in any of these areas and raising major concerns about what this guy is going to do. Now, people say we're going to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Baker Mayfield. Well, you can't. Those guys are much different. Those guys, you never question about their ability on the board. You never question about their leadership ability, their work habits. They were outstanding in those areas. This guy is not outstanding in those areas. It showed up in the interview. And we wonder why so many people out there advocate how the NFL scouting combine should be eradicated. Young dude, Heisman Trophy winner, black quarterback. Leadership, study habits, board work. You've either called him lazy or you called him incompetent. Now, Todd McShay, noted college football analyst extraordinaire for ESPN, came on my show, First Take, on ESPN television this morning, 10 a.m. to noon every weekday, 7 to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. He said he thought Charlie Casserly's critique was a bit harsh. It's very harsh. But if this is what he's being told, okay. He has a right to say what he's being told. I would remind everybody that even though Charlie Casserly was a general manager for the Washington Redskins for 10 years and won a Super Bowl in 1991, the last 11 years of his career as an executive, he produced 2 playoff appearances, and he's most noted for drafting David Carr with the number 2 overall pick in 2002. David Carr. No disrespect, David Carr, who's doing a good job on the NFL Network himself. This is the thing. We all know the stigmas that come along with the black quarterback. Now, am I saying this is a race thing? Not exactly. Charlie Casserly, as a football analyst, is perfectly entitled to divulge and disseminate what has been told to him. But it is important to take history into consideration. It is important to take certain objectives into consideration. And when you are somebody historically with odds stacked against you, despite the fact that there have been a plethora of black quarterbacks that have come down the line over the last couple of decades, the fact of the matter is that stigma is still somewhat relevant. And it's a highly sensitive matter, particularly to folks from the African-American community. Somebody's got to say it, so I'm going to do it. I don't expect anybody else to say it, and I don't give a damn. I'm saying it. What the hell is this? And I'm not talking about Charlie Casserly meaning himself. I'm saying, who exactly is it that says these kind of things? The kind of damage that this could potentially do. And it could be in a process of transpiring just because somebody's trying to devalue him or coax the Arizona Cardinals into not taking him number 1. It could be a whole bunch of gamesmanship going on because a whole bunch of lies are perpetuated leading up to any draft, whether it's the NFL, it's the NBA, and beyond. And we get that. But why should Kyler Murray, a Heisman Trophy winner, who performed the way that he's performed, who's been as electrifying as he has been, should have to be subjected to this? Why show up to the scouting combine at all? Why say anything to people other than hello and goodbye? You don't know his weight before he got there? If I'm Kyler Murray, if I'm any of these top draft picks potentially, you know what it comes down to? I'll show up, don't even talk to me. I'd surround myself with hanger-ons. I'd surround myself with a bunch of damn hood rats if I had to. And I'd show up, you can measure my height and my weight and my hand size. And other than that, you wouldn't even get to say hello or goodbye to me. I'm going to take it back. You can say hello because that's courteous. You can say goodbye because that's courteous. That's about it. We ain't having no conversation. I mean, if I ate some White Castle and passed gas, you might sit up there and say, damn, he didn't take a bath. I mean, what the hell is this? This is what you do? And if you did it to him, who's to say it's not going to be done to Haskins? Who's to say that's not going to happen? But meanwhile, in the sport of baseball, we praise, as we should, and love, as we should, somebody like a Bryce Harper who was homeschooled. And we look at individuals who have been insulated. And they get a pass from nonsense like this. If a player gets in trouble, we're all over him. But a grown-ass man who happens to be the CEO for the San Francisco Giants tries to snatch the iPad or whatever was in his wife's hands, knocks her over a chair, it's caught on camera, and he's allowed to get to walk away and take a leave of absence without question, probably with pay. I mean, you got to be kidding me. This is what the damn problem is. Y'all want to sit up there and get political and talk about a president that you might not like and what he's allowed to get away with and how his behavior is quote unquote unprecedented. But we don't talk about the people who elected him. We don't talk about the society that we're living in that holds kids to a higher standard than grown-ass men. And you wonder why people got a problem with you. This is the damn problem. What has this kid Kyler Murray done in his time as an elite athlete that warrants questions about his leadership, his study habits, or his board work? Tell me what he's done. Tell me what possible evidence that anybody has to justify that. But we're not questioning his coach, his potential coach at Arizona. A man at Cliff Kingsbury who had a below 500 record, who got unceremoniously dismissed from his duties, who landed a coordinator's job at USC, and before he had an opportunity to have a practice, let alone a game, he got a head coaching job, bypassing tens, if not hundreds of candidates, black, white, Latino, and beyond, who pounded the pavement and worked their tails off to get that opportunity. Do you have any idea how many people would have been happy to be a scout on the NFL level? A player personnel director, an assistant coach, a position coach, a coordinator? This man goes from failing as a college coach to becoming a head coach. The GM, Steve Keim, signed Steve Wilks to a head coaching deal and lets him go after 1 year. Ownership keeps Keim, even though Keim has been on the job for 6 years, and the last 3 years have been incredibly unimpressive. And then he's allowed to go out and hire a coach whose only plus on his resume is that, you know what, he's kind of good with quarterbacks, and he actually recruited Kyler Murray. Did Kyler Murray go play with him? I believe he went to Oklahoma. If he was so great, how come he didn't get him? Nobody asked that question. How about this question, ladies and gentlemen? Isn't Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma the resident golden boy? Isn't he the guy that is supposed to be the second coming? Isn't Lincoln Riley supposed to be that dude, that stud, that brilliant offensive mind? Ladies and gentlemen, how would he have been if he didn't have Baker Mayfield? How would he have been if he didn't have Kyler Murray? Could it be that the players make Lincoln Riley look good? And even if you want to give Lincoln Riley credit, well, if you want to give him so much credit, why not give him credit for teaching, tutoring, and nurturing a product into a star? And if Lincoln Riley tells you that this guy is sensational because he hasn't said one negative syllable about Kyler Murray, if he tells you, did Lincoln Riley say anything about his leadership? No. Did he say anything about his study habits? No. Did he say anything about his board work? No, he did not. No, he did not. But Lincoln Riley still gets perceived as a golden boy. But Kyler Murray gets perceived as a huge risk because of things other than his on-field exploits. And y'all don't have a problem with this? You're just going to let this slide? If Kyler Murray is questioned today, if Kyler Murray somehow finds his draft stock dropping because of these question marks, how come Lincoln Riley's status as a golden boy of a coach shouldn't plummet? He raved about the kid. Kid played for him. Kid produced for him. Which one is it? See, we don't want to go there, do we? Because the bunch of cowards, that is a lot of y'all that live out there that don't want to hold the right people accountable. You take the easy way out. But I'm not doing that. We're going to have this discussion today. We're going to have this discussion today. You see the Charlie Cassidy's of the world. See, this is the problem with diversity. I have no doubt that somebody told Charlie Casserly this. I am not accusing Charlie Casserly of making anything up. I have no doubt he was told this. The man is credible enough where we should take him at his word that he was told this stuff. But you got your little clicks, you see. That's what I hate about the world of analytics, so I can be clear. You know the problem that I have with analytics? I don't see any black folks talking analytics. I don't see any black folks getting hired for their analytical background. I see these boys focused on numbers, PERs, and all of these other statistical categories. I see them hiring their friends. I see them ingratiate themselves with owners who have the money, talking numbers, which is a language owners understand. They hire those guys hire their friends, and instead of ball players who actually were on the court, know how to measure something than just numbers and look at your skill set and your heart and your guts and whatever other intangibles come with it. And those guys getting hired. Instead, what we're finding is a bunch of dudes connected to the world of analytics, hiring people they're comfortable with, most of whom look just like them, believe just what they believe, act just the way they act. And there's a segment of our populace that's left out. But we don't talk about that, do we? We don't want to go there, do we? Because it's a little bit too controversial. Feel free to tell ESPN to get somebody else to do this radio show then. Because I don't buckle. And I ain't folding from a conversation like this. This ain't everybody. This ain't most people. But there are some people in our society, some with influence, some that don't have that influence, that think just like this, that don't mind sullying the reputation of an accomplished young man before he even had a chance to pass gas. And I want to say y'all make me sick. You get on my damn nerves. Y'all could kick rocks and go to hell all in the same place. Y'all make me sick. I can't stand y'all. You know who you are. Bunch of punks. Can't even put your name to something like this. Make me sick. Go to break.
Craving even more of Stephen A?
Him of all people.
For around-the-clock access to... The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Well, you better hope Kingsbury takes him number one, because this was not good. This was the worst comments I ever got on a high-rated quarterback.
Really?
And I've been doing this a long time. Yes, leadership, not good. Okay, study habits, not good. The board work, below not good. Not good at all in any of those areas, see? And raising major concerns about what this guy's going to do. Now, people will say, well, we're going to compare him to Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Baker Mayfield. It is possible, but those guys are much different. I mean, those guys, you never question about their ability on the board. You never question their leadership ability, their work habits. They were outstanding in those areas. This guy's not outstanding in those areas. It showed up in the interview.
That is absolutely positively unbelievable. Absolutely positively unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, think about what we're talking about here. The Oklahoma Sooners, led by Kyler Murray, lost 2 games this year. They were 12-2. They lost 1 game to Texas on October 6th, 48-45. And then they lost in the national championship, college football playoffs, national championship semifinals, to Alabama 45-34. Kyler Murray is the quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners. Ladies and gentlemen, the lowest amount of points his team scored was 28 against Army on September 22nd. In the 14 games, this offense was led by Kyler Murray. They scored 63, 49, 37, 28, 66, 45, 52, 51, 51, 48, 55, 59, 39, and 34. That's what they did. Kyler Murray threw for 4,361 yards, completed 69% of his passes, threw for 42 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, he ran for 1,000 yards. He threw for 4,000, ran for another 1,000. Ultimately accumulated 5,362 yards on the season. 5,362 yards on the season. And we're sitting here hearing this from Charlie Casserly. Play it again, Cat.
Well, you better hope Kingsbury takes him number one, because this was not good. This was the worst comments I ever got on a high-rated quarterback.
Really?
And I've been doing this a long time. Yes, leadership, not good. Okay, study habits, not good. The board work, below not good. Not good at all in any of those areas, see? And raising major concerns about what this guy's going to do. Now, people will say, well, we're going to compare him to Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Baker Mayfield. It is possible, but those guys are much different. I mean, those guys, you never question about their ability on the board. You never question their leadership ability, their work habits. They were outstanding in those areas. This guy's not outstanding in those areas. It showed up in the interview.
What am I missing, ladies and gentlemen? Jonathan Nuno, Cat. Somebody, anybody help me. Where were the stories questioning Kyler Murray's leadership during the season? Did anybody hear those stories? I got a cameraman over here operating. Turn around, my brother. Did you hear anything about Kyler Murray's leadership at all? I didn't hear anything. Nuno, did you? Jonathan, did you? You watch college football? When did we hear something about Kyler Murray's leadership? His acumen? His study habits. When did this happen? When did this happen? I don't recall. Now, I don't blame anybody for critiquing me. I mean, who the hell am I to speak about college football? I was the idiot that talked about Haskins out of Ohio State being some type of damn runner because I watched him run the ball 15 times against Purdue. And other than that, I never saw a really complete game of his. I knew he was a widespread offense as a quarterback at Ohio State, and foolishly slipped up by intimating what I really, really didn't feel. I knew he was evasive. I knew he could run a little bit to extend plays in a spread offense, but I said I viewed him more of a runner, and that was a mistake on my part. So if somebody wants to hold that against me and shred my credibility as it pertains to talking about a quarterback, that's fine. But I'm not asking you to think about me. I'm asking you to think about any football analyst out there. Where were the stories about Kyler Murray's work ethic, his commitment to excellence, anything, his leadership ability? Where were these stories? You trying to tell me he shows up for one day to the NFL scouting combine and that gets to eradicate 5,362 yards of personal, individual total offense on his part? A Heisman Trophy winner? 69% completion with his passes? A runner the likes of Michael Vick? And we hear this? Leadership, not good. Study habits, not good. The board work, below, not good. With Charlie Casserly, Mr. David Carr as a draft pick when he was a GM with the Houston Texans in 2002, sitting up here speaking so emphatically, so assuredly of Kyler Murray in this critique? Really? Really? Lincoln Riley, the coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, was on the Dan Patrick Show, and he spoke about Charlie Casserly's comments, and listen to what he had to say.
Not surprising. I mean, that's just in the fact that it's that time of year, and people are going to say different things. I just hate that people go out make these comments, and you'd never even talk to the two people that have actually coached this kid. Kyler was a tremendous leader for us, a tremendous leader, very aggressive, very important to him. All he cares about is winning. And that really, I think our team took on that personality without a doubt. So and then as far as process and offense, I mean, he just had the, greatest single season in the history of college football. So I think he can process just fine.
Lincoln Riley, I appreciate those comments. I truly, truly do. Not good enough. If you're somewhere listening to me, Lincoln Riley, who's done an exceptional job as the coach at Oklahoma, who's been incredibly complimentary and supportive of both Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, his two quarterbacks since he's been the head coach, replacing Bob Stoops at Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley, with all due respect, that's not good enough. It's just that time of the year. Damn that. Damn that. It's not just the time of the year to hear leadership, not good. Study habits, not good. The board work, below, not good. Not good at all in any of those areas, and raising major concerns about what this guy is going to do. No, sir. No. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. We got to open our eyes and understand certain things with collateral damage. Listen, I'm an insider. And sometimes I talk about players and coaches and things that have happened. And because those things have happened, this is what you deduce from it. Or because of the quote emanating from what may have transpired, this is what you deduce from it. And it's almost always after they get their money. This kid ain't been paid yet. This kid is trying to come into the league. And to say this about him before he is drafted, when you have no evidence, zilch, zero, no evidence to support that drivel, that rhetoric, you are compromising this man's livelihood. See, I ain't got no problems going on what I see, calling it like it is, and more importantly, to a professional athlete whose contract has already been signed and his money's already coming. This kid ain't been paid yet. This kid passed up millions to go play Major League Baseball. Number 9 overall pick, Oakland A's. He didn't have to subject himself to this. But he was willing to do so because somewhere along the way, let's face reality, he thought we were living in a meritocracy. He thought fairness was a part of the equation. I have no doubt that Charlie Casserly was told this. What I would respectfully ask Charlie Casserly is this. Tell me what about this was fair. To speak so vehemently and so defiantly and so emphatically, so assuredly about this kid this way. Where's the evidence? Where's the shred of evidence? Where's the statement that says, hey, there's really nothing that we've seen in his college career that indicates what has been told to me, but this is what they said. Where's that line at? Where's the line at? Listen, this is the time of year this kind of stuff happens. People will tell you anything. People play games. They try to devalue guys along the way. Now, they're saying this about Kyler Murray, but we need to take into account what time of year this is and the kind of gamesmanship that is played, even if it means devaluing somebody for the purposes of hoping he slides to you or goes somewhere other than this particular presumed destination. Where's that statement? Where is that? And don't let me get started with the fact that these ain't brothers talking about brothers. Somebody got to say it. Somebody's got to say it. Because you see, had that been me, this young black man that has made me and so many people proud because of the way he performed and in the same breath the way he has conducted himself, had that been me, I wouldn't have said that and just left it like that. And I get to say that because, Charlie Casserly, I do what you've done. Not as a GM, not as an executive in the NFL. I'm talking about television work. I've been doing this. This is my area of expertise. I am qualified to make that statement. Had that been me, it wouldn't have came out like that. Especially considering the fact that his predecessor, who I like very much, I'm very proud of Baker Mayfield. I'm very proud of the job he did for the Cleveland Browns. I do think that he's a leader. I do think that he's a young stud on the come up and has tremendous promise. And I applaud him for who he is, what he stands for, what he is about, what he has overcome, even though there have been times I disagree with him. But Kyler Murray wasn't the one with the checkered past. That would be Baker Mayfield. What do you mean, Charlie Casserly? They didn't say these things about Baker Mayfield and stuff like that. And if they didn't, what does it tell you that they didn't say it about Baker Mayfield, but they're saying it about Kyler Murray? We don't want to go there, do we? See, when you got these insiders and you got these pundits and you have so many folks that look differently than the athletes they actually talk about, particularly when you're communicating with executives who damn sure look differently than the athletes they're talking about, you get to say things like this until you run into me and people like me who ain't scared to call BS when BS shows up at his front door. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call up. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio. ESPN News, that was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. By the way, if you missed my opening segment today, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, hey, what's in your wallet? Also, if you haven't tried the delicious, high-quality meat from Butcher Box, you're going to be blown away. Butcher Box brings you the meat the way it's meant to be so you can get all of the benefits you're supposed to get. Unbelievable flavor and unparalleled nutrition. They work closely with the best
Host, The Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
Welcome to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, coming at you as I love to do every weekday. 888-SAY-ESPN is always the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. Stephen A. Smith Show is on ESPN Radio, 250-plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airways of ESPN News. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Customers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $668. Call or click today and find out if we could save you hundreds on your car insurance. Plus, get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro plus premium gasoline. Another thing I wanted to add is that the Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. And you never know what goes out of style. Surprising a friend or loved one will buy one, get one free multicolored rose bouquets for $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Before I go to the back to the calls, a couple of things. Number one, I'm in LA. Been in LA all week. We'll be here. We know what's going on. Los Angeles Lakers, as far as I'm concerned, their playoff hopes have evaporated. It's over. It's a wrap. You're 5.5 games out with 18 games to go. The San Antonio Spurs are the 8th seed. The Clippers are the 7th seed. The Sacramento Kings are ahead of you by a couple of games or so in the Western Conference. I'd love to see them go against the reigning world champion Golden State Warriors in the first round. They've played the Golden State Warriors 4 times this year and have lost by a combined 12 points. Every game's come down to the wire. They're young Lions, ain't scared of nothing. If Marvin Bagley is healthy, I think that helps them immensely. It'll be real interesting to see, but the San Antonio Spurs have been in the playoffs 21 consecutive years. And I wouldn't bet against Greg Popovich. I'm surprised that the Clippers are still trying to win games, considering the fact that the first round pick that they have is lottery protected. So if they miss the playoffs and had a lottery pick, they keep their first round pick. But if they make the playoffs, then their pick falls out of the top 13 rather, top 13, and it goes to the Boston Celtics. So I'm shocked that the Clippers continue to win games, but they do. Doc Rivers is doing a hell of a job, devoid of a star. They are winning basketball games, and they've got space for 2 max players. So I look at it from that perspective, and I got to give credit where credit is due to the Clippers. The Los Angeles Lakers are a different story. The Denver Nuggets are in town. Although they've lost 3 straight, the reality is that this is a team that is on the come up. Mike Malone has done an outstanding job coaching this basketball team. Jokic is the real deal. Gary Harris can ball. I am a Jamal Murray fan. Coming out of Kentucky, I knew he could stroke it. I knew he could shoot. And that's exactly what he has shown us since he has arrived in the NBA. This dude is a shot maker. Barton is no joke either. Millsap is a veteran. The Denver Nuggets are somebody that is lethal, and the reason why they're lethal is because it's very difficult to go to that altitude in Denver, Colorado, and beat this team. Now, they struggle on the road. But at home, they're deadly. So any series with them, I think, is going a minimum of 6 games because they're going to win a couple of home games. And that's something that can't be ignored about the Denver Nuggets. Give credit where credit is due. They got a lot of young studs on their squad who ain't scared of anybody. They make shots. They have athleticism. I got to give credit where it's due. And I expect them to beat the Lakers tonight. They've lost 3 straight. I don't see them losing a 4th straight game to the Lakers. I mean, a 4th straight, and this 4th being to the Lakers. I don't see them losing that. Lakers season is over. And so ultimately that begs questions about LeBron James and what have you, and what a disappointing year this has been. I'm not holding LeBron James. Yes, he's made mistakes in terms of demonstrably complaining about his teammates and their lack of defense, moving the ball fluidly, making the extra pass, making shots, or what they do defensively. LeBron James has dropped the ball defensively, and he's dropped the ball to some degree from a leadership perspective.
What, to the
but
scouting
LeBron
combine
James
at
is one of the
all?
greatest players in the world. When healthy, the greatest player in the world, universally recognized as. And he got hurt Christmas Day. So I'm not holding him but so accountable for that. Here's what I will hold LeBron James accountable for. If he can't get some stars, if he can't get a star to come to this team. There are too many marquee names available in the free agent market for LeBron James and Magic Johnson to end up empty-handed. Because Anthony Davis is not coming this summer, y'all. I don't believe that. I don't believe the Pelicans are going to be cooperative. I don't believe they're going to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. I think they're going to make him go someplace else in order to go to the Lakers. And because it would make 2 moves instead of 1, I think it's going to cost them anywhere from $50 to $80 million. And I think the Pelicans are hoping that wherever they move him to is where he will stay, and it won't be to the Lakers. So if you're LeBron James, whether it's Kyrie Irving, it's Kevin Durant, it's Kawhi Leonard, it's Kemba Walker, it's Jimmy Butler, it's Klay Thompson, no matter what, whatever it comes down to end up with nobody is an unmitigated disaster. Not just for LeBron, but for Magic Johnson too. Because it harkens us back to Magic Johnson making the right trade offer for Paul George, or making sure that you recruited Paul George just as hard and heavily as you recruited LeBron James. If Magic Johnson was at LeBron James' doorstep at the stroke of midnight, which he was, then he should have had Rob Pelinka or somebody at Paul George's doorstep too. But Paul George ended up staying in Oklahoma City. I was told because Paul George is of the feeling, if I go to L.A. and we win, LeBron gets all the credit. If we lose, it's everybody else's fault. Why would I be in that situation? That's what I was told. How accurate that is, I don't know. But that's what I was told. So if Paul George feels that way, is Klay Thompson going to feel that way? Is Kyrie Irving going to feel that way? We know Kyrie already left him in Cleveland. Is Kevin Durant going to feel that way? We already heard the quotes from Kevin Durant about how playing with LeBron could be toxic. Is Kawhi Leonard going to feel that way? Or better yet, does he want a paparazzi kind of atmosphere that exists with the Lakers, or want to go, or would rather go to the quiet confines of the Clippers? These are all things. And the Clippers are sitting there smiling because not only are they better than the Lakers, not only did they beat the Lakers, but they are devoid of a superstar. And oh, by the way, while the Lakers have enough cap space for just one player, the Clippers have enough cap space for two. Or at least they're expecting to have enough cap space for two this summer. And while you got Magic Johnson, the basketball savant that he is, my brother, I love him. And you got a guy in Rob Pelinka who, in fairness to Rob Pelinka, because I pointed out yesterday, are we wondering whether or not Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson are on the same page? I was assured they are. And that Rob Pelinka has nothing to worry about. And that his future in L.A. is secure. But my question is, what are we supposed to do? Grab pom-poms and wave applause? He has never been an executive. He was an agent. Magic Johnson was an executive with Magic Johnson Enterprises, but he was never a president of basketball operations. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ranch, even though his title is that of a consultant, the consultant who has the ear of the $22 billion billionaire that is Steve Ballmer happens to be arguably the greatest executive in the history of basketball. Let's stop playing games. Jerry West. We talk about Kevin Durant, great. We talk about Kevin Durant, LeBron James, great. We talk about Steph Curry, great. We talk about Russell Westbrook and Paul George and others, great. As an executive, Jerry West is that great. He's that great. He's Jerry freaking West. He's the real deal. And as somebody who covering this league for over 2 decades, I've talked to a lot of people about basketball. I want to say this unapologetically for everybody to understand. Certain people, to talk basketball with them is an absolute honor and privilege. It's not just doing your job. There are some times where you step back. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't debate with Jerry West. I ask questions. I'm inquisitive. But I don't debate. When he speaks, I listen. Period. Period. He's that great of a basketball mind when it comes to assembling a roster. He's that great. Period. Got his sons working in the NBA. You know, when you're a minority in this business and you see such nepotism, sometimes you'll get offended because you sit there and say like this, you know what? That opportunity ain't happening for everybody. Jerry West is so great, I have no problem with it. His sons work with the Lakers, Golden State Warriors, damn it, whoever else they're working for. God bless them. Because when you're that great, I want from that tree. That's how great Jerry West is as a basketball mind. Period. I'm just telling you what I know. I'm telling you to listen to this man talk basketball is something special to behold. Got news for you. Doc Rivers, same way. You listen to Doc Rivers break down some basketball, it's special. It's a damn shame that LeBron James is so big and so, above it all with the bouginess. I'm not talking about his personality, I'm talking about his stature. That you don't hear him do local radio interviews like this. Because LeBron James is brilliant. Brilliant when it comes to basketball. I'm going to tell you something right now. I could be critical of LeBron James all day. But when he speaks, I'm listening. Because that man knows basketball. He's that brilliant. He's that great. Kobe Bryant, the player that he is, Kobe Bryant really is an assassin. His brilliance is in his mind. Listen to him talk basketball. It's something special to behold. It really, really is. Michael Jordan, brilliant. They know the game. Now, sometimes that doesn't equate to decisions that you make in picking personnel because emotions may get involved, finances may get involved, business may get involved, et cetera, et cetera. That's what makes Jerry West so phenomenal. Because all of those things thrown into one pot, when you look at the resume of a player who became an executive, there's no one better. He's the greatest in NBA history. And I've been on the record saying Michael Jordan deserves to be the silhouette. I'm talking about Michael Jordan, the player. But if we're talking about player and executive, no, leave Jerry West as a silhouette. He's that great. He's that freaking great. He speaks, I listen. I know my basketball. Not like that man. I can humbly tell you that. I'm saying all of this to say to you, do you have any idea what the Los Angeles Lakers are up against? Do you have any idea what the New York Knicks with Scott Perry and Steve Mills are up against? Do you have any idea who the Brooklyn Nets with Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson, those guys doing a good job in Brooklyn, damn good job. Cap space can make some noise. Do you have any idea what they're up against? Are y'all understanding what's going on? The Clippers have a billionaire in Ballmer. They have a championship coach in Doc Rivers. They have a coach who's guided teams to conference finals in Lawrence Frank, or at least semifinals. And you got Jerry West as a consultant who might be the greatest mind we've ever seen in the NBA. And y'all think that just having LeBron solves all your problems? Lakers, y'all in trouble. Y'all in a world of trouble. But nobody's rooting for you more than me, because basketball is just better when the Lakers are relevant. Plain and simple. And I'm rooting for them desperately. And I love my man Magic. And regardless of how critical I have to be with LeBron from time to time, damn it, I root for him. Because the game is better when LeBron James is making noise. It's better to watch. It's better drama. It's better headlines. There's a reason the ratings have fallen off a little bit since LeBron moved out west. Because he ain't coming on at 7 o'clock. We got to wait until 10:30 at night to watch him. And most people ain't staying up till 12 midnight or 1 in the morning until he finishes. That's why ratings have been compromised, because LeBron James is that great. He's that special. And it's too damn bad that he's so sensitive and always addicted to controlling the narrative, that people like me have to be critical at times instead of him allowing us to truly appreciate his greatness. Not just as a basketball player, not just as a basketball mind, but as a person. It's truly sad. But that's his choice. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Because he's special. And if he owns a team in the NBA someday, I'm interested in seeing what he's going to do, because his man Maverick Carter is going to be a part of it. And Maverick knows his basketball too. Rich Paul and all of those guys know basketball, even though they get on my damn nerves because I don't trust them. Because they're the kind of guys that'll sit up there, or in Rich Paul's case, who I love as a person, but he's the kind of guy that will go out of his way to protect his clients and his friends. And I think sometimes objectivity goes out the window. But I just tease him about it. It's all in fun. But LeBron as an owner, with a guy like Maverick Carter helping him make decisions, I'd be interested in seeing what that materializes into, because I think they've got what it takes. I really do. Back to your calls at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I started off the first hour of the show going off about Kyler Murray because of the critique that was leveled against him, mainly by Charlie Casserly, who talked about leadership not good, study habits not good, board work not good. This is all the stuff that unnamed folks in NFL circles said about him at the scouting combine, with all the stuff that this man accomplished in college football. They didn't hear that about Baker Mayfield, though. BS. Total BS. Frank, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Yeah, I enjoy the show, Stephen A. I just have 2 words. Well, I have more than 2 words, but institutionalized racism. And basically, I also want to add to this, to the young man in Kansas City that got in that altercation and was cut immediately. I watched both videotapes of the guy from San Francisco and this young man, and I didn't see a whole lot of difference as far as the violence perpetuated. Also, one last thing, and I'll hang up and listen. You know, I'm in my late 50s. I grew up, played sports. I'm from Chicago. How come back in the day, maybe it still happens, when an African-American guy signed a big contract, I always asked him what he was going to do for his community. Yet, and I like Jerry West, don't get me wrong, but he came from one of the poorest parts of this country. Nobody ever asked Jerry West what he was going to do for his community. But with that, I'll hang up and have
Very
a good
true.
day.
Very true. And I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Let's go to David. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, David. David, are you there? David, going once. David, going twice.
You there, Mr. Smith?
Yes, we are here. You was getting ready to hear dial tone. Good job. Go ahead, buddy.
My bad.
You're live on the air. Go ahead.
My phone. First of all, if you want to hear about Kyler Murray's leadership, why don't you ask those Oklahoma players, not some guy that's talked to him for 5 minutes during an interview. Why don't you ask the defense, okay? And, I mean, flat out, I don't give a damn if you're black, white, green, or yellow. Can you read a defense? Can you make the throws? Can you make plays for my team?
Well, let me stop you right there. I agree with you. I totally co-sign with you. But the reason why that, you know, when race is broached is because of what you're choosing to say about him, and historically the kind of damage that could potentially do to somebody in his position, as opposed to somebody who is not black, who isn't a minority. Those kind of things can be incredibly detrimental to somebody's stature and status, particularly entering the NFL draft. And anybody who said that about him clandestinely, secretly, privately, off the record, damn well knows that. And that's what makes this egregious. And I think Charlie Casserly, who does a good job for the NFL Network, could have couched it significantly better than he did, because he knows that history. I
mean, in a lighter sense, you know what I mean? And,
yes.
And one more thing, I don't mean to cut you off, but I am so sick about hearing about the Celtics and about the Lakers. Like you were saying a minute ago, give credit where credit's due. How about the Bucks? Best team in the NBA.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
You were giving credit to Denver. Which...
I'm not sold on Milwaukee yet. I'm not sold on Milwaukee, and I'll tell you why, David. I'll tell you why. The Greek Freak is sensational. He's a special, special talent, and he's going to get his numbers. But I think come playoff time, when the game slows down and your offense has to go against set defenses because you're not going to have as many opportunities in the open court, they're going to have to show and prove to me that they're a perimeter shooting team, because I think that's what it's going to take, and I don't believe that they will make it. That's my issue with Milwaukee.
No, absolutely. And it just kind of reminds me of the LeBron Cleveland days. You can drive, Giannis can drive the hoop, dish out, as long as you got somebody like a J.R. Smith that can hit threes, or
that's right,
along those lines. And honestly, I mean, it's a prove-it world. So we'll see when it comes to June. But I honestly believe that it's going to be something like that. They will shock some people.
Well, listen, I don't think it's going to be that big of a shock. Milwaukee is that legit. Budenholzer is a leading candidate for Coach of the Year. I think it was a 3-horse race between him, Indiana's Nate McMillan, and Denver's Mike Malone. But now I think Budenholzer is sort of pulling away. So we shall see. But ultimately, it's going to come down to their ability to make perimeter shots. You're not beating Toronto or Boston if you can't make perimeter shots. And that's what Milwaukee is going to have to show me they can do in the postseason. I got to go. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll get back to your calls and more on Kyler Murray, on the Lakers, on LeBron, and, of course, Golden State getting trounced by the Boston Celtics last night at the Oracle. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, when you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes, do you? You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio back here at you. It's being presented by Progressive Insurance. Commercial insurance through Progressive protects your business and your dream. Choose from over 30 coverage options at progressivecommercial.com. Plus, need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat. Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Pierre. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A., how you doing, man? Big
I'm all
fan
right.
of your show.
Thank you.
I'm from Chicago. I'm a teacher. Hey, Stephen A., I just want to piggyback off something that you said that
Yes,
me
sir.
and my boys was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm a big sports person, and I'm getting tired of the analytics. To me, it's a bunch of Caucasian males making percentages, adding and subtracting intangibles of athletes, especially in the NBA and NFL, mostly black men. And this annoys me because 99% of them never made a professional team, never been an athlete, have no idea what these athletes have been through, and they use these analytics, and some of these big million-dollar sports teams use their information, and it can sometimes cost these athletes millions of dollars. And my
Pierre, let me stop you. You're right to have a problem with it, but your reasons are wrong. Analytics has been around for a very long time. Did you know they were being used in the 80s and the early 90s by Pat Riley?
I did.
You have individuals who played for Pat Riley that could tell you he incorporated the analytics. To some degree, so did Larry Brown and various other coaches. So it's not like it's some new phenomenon that never existed. Analytics has been around for a long time. And it's nothing wrong with using that as an element to help analyze and evaluate talent. If you can somehow use numbers to dissect how effective a guy is per minute, what his plus minus is when he's on the court of play with various other teammates. For example, DeMarcus Cousins, all right? The reality of the situation is that as potent as he is offensively, because of his lack of lateral movement, he can't, and his limitations thereof, he's a liability defensively. The Golden State Warriors are a plus 12 when Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant are on the floor together with somebody. When it's DeMarcus Cousins they're on the court with, they're minus 3. That's a 15-point difference in points when DeMarcus Cousins is on the floor defensively. There's no way around that. So when you look at it from that perspective, you can understand that there's a use for the numbers. The problem is that analytics, courtesy of the Sloan Sports Institute and others, have become such a phenomenon that owners are hiring analytics experts. They're hiring their friends who may also have engaged in it or been a part of it. And almost all of them are white. So it's omitting minorities from positions of influence and power, but you got the players out there performing to make them look good. That's the problem.
Stephen A., can you measure will? Can you measure
No. What I'm saying to you is that I agree with you. That should be a part of the process as well. So you're right. But the real problem is not with analytics. The real problem is with it being the predominant element upon which some executives are leaning on to decide who they're going to put on their team, what style of play you're going to play. They try to get it to measure the heart and competency and significance of a player. And almost none of the people doing the evaluation are minorities. That's the problem.
That's my point.
That's the problem.
That's my point. So this is hurting us. It's hurting a lot of black athletes when these people, that's these analytics connoisseurs or whatever you want to call them, when they go rogue and they say that this person is not this and this person doesn't have this.
But the part that I think you're missing, Pierre, is that if the league was 77 to 80% black before, and it still is now, you can't make the argument, but so strongly, that it's hurting the athlete. You could say that it's hurting minorities with aspirations to be coaches and executives, because that's where the real problem lies.
Ooh,
that's where the real problem lies.
That's a tough statement, Stephen A.
Hell yes, it is. Because think about it. Let me ask you a question. Can you explain to me? Let me ask you this quick question before I let you go, Pierre. Can you explain to me why Joe Dumars goes to 6 straight conference finals, back-to-back NBA finals, wins an NBA championship, can't even get an interview? Can you explain that?
There's no rational explanation for that.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. I got to go, man. I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot, and please call back in the future because I like your call. Thank you so much. Let's go to Mike. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Mike.
Hey, how you doing, man?
My brother, what's going on, man?
I'm doing great, man. Been keeping up with you, So I just want to talk about Kyler Murray, man. It's unfair what they're doing to him. Like you said, all this time ain't nothing been said negative about this guy. In a matter of one day, all this rhetoric, and like you said, put a name with it. Don't just put the press out there. Be a man and stand up and put a name with it.
But my whole point, Mike, is this: how you gonna talk about leadership and potential character issues? But he succeeded Baker Mayfield. And I like Baker Mayfield. Exactly. It hurts me to have to bring up his name because Baker Mayfield doesn't deserve to be a part of this conversation. He had a hell of a rookie year. He played tremendously, showed tremendous promise. He's clearly no Johnny Manziel. He definitely has a bright future ahead of him. And I wish Baker Mayfield nothing but the best. But how does Baker Mayfield become the number 1 overall pick? All right, and barely any of this stuff is said about him, but now it's being said about Kyler Murray. How can people justify that?
And they come from the same program with the same coach. And
that's right.
His Kyler Murray's stats was better than not just Baker Mayfield, but any other quarterback in collegiate history.
And by the way,
of the things he did.
I'm not letting Lincoln Riley off the hook either. Lincoln Riley, listen, I mean, this is what happens that time of the year. He doesn't like it. It's unfortunate. But, and he supported Kyler Murray, didn't say a negative word about him, and I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is on the part of Lincoln Riley, it's not enough to say it's just that time of the year. No.
Exactly.
I mean, when you look at the quote here, the quote here is, well, we better hope. I mean, you know what? Rather than me play Charlie Casserly's quote one more time for the listeners.
Well, you better hope Kingsbury takes him number 1 because this was not good. This was the worst comments I ever got on a high-rated quarterback.
Really?
And I've been doing this a long time. Yes, leadership, not good. Okay, study habits, not good. The board work, below not good. Not good at all in any of those areas, see? And raising major concerns about what this guy's going to do. Now, people will say, well, we're going to compare him to Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Mahomes. We're going to run an offense like Baker Mayfield. It is possible, but those guys are much different. I mean, those guys, you never question about their ability on the board. You never question their leadership ability, their work habits. They were outstanding in those areas. This guy's not outstanding in those areas. It showed up in the interview.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That's questioning either the dude's competence or his work ethic. How can that be? How can that be, Mike?
It's terrible, man. And like I said, I don't know whether it got to do with him, ready to do something that ain't no other athlete ever did, go first round in 2 major sports. We don't know. We just got to wait and see how it play out. But I appreciate the way that you got on the story today, man, because like you say, ain't nobody else going to do it but you. And, man, you did a great job in how you laid off today about this, man.
I appreciate
and keep up with it, what you're doing, man.
Know what? Thank you so much, man. Had to. No way around it. Dean, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, buddy.
Yes, Stephen A. On the Kyler Murray story that Charlie Casserly reported, I thought that it was careless and reckless on his part to report that if it was told to him by someone else instead of him going out and doing his own due diligence and making sure that the story was accurate and correct?
Well, hold on, Dean. Hold on, Dean. In fairness to Charlie Casserly, we have no reason to believe that he wasn't told this. He's a former GM in the NFL, 10 years with the Washington Redskins, another 4 with the Houston Texans. He's been on TV for years. His work is very credible. I'm not questioning whether or not someone told this to him. I have no doubt in my mind that he heard this from someone, if not a multitude of people within the NFL or at the NFL scouting combine. The question is to speak so emphatically about something that is so flagrantly devoid of fact and truth. That is the issue here, but I have no doubt that somebody told him that.
Yeah, but Stephen A., don't that make it a rumor if somebody told you something without you going out doing your own investigation?
Wait a minute. There's nothing he can do, sir. If you go to the scouting combine and you don't have access to that, you lean on the executives who actually talk to the individuals and have access to the information that you disseminated. That's what we all do. I can't blame Charlie Casserly for that. That's the way the job is done. You can't, unless you're literally a fly on the wall, there's nothing more than you can do than to echo the sentiments that have been disseminated to you. But in doing so, you can certainly couch it with some semblance of reality. There's no evidence to back up what they're saying. 69% completion percentage, 4,300 passing yards, 42 touchdowns, just 7 interceptions, rushed for 1,000 yards, runs like Michael Vick, pocket passer, 5'10", size 9.5 hands, with a weight of 207 pounds, and you're going to come, a Heisman Trophy winner, go to the college football playoffs, and you're going to come question the man's work ethic? That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's why I think it's a little reckless and careless, Stephen A. Like I said, to me, it's like spreading a rumor if you don't have your homework done.
I prefer the word. I appreciate the call. I prefer the word Todd McShay used on my show First Take this morning on ESPN. He said it was a bit too harsh. There was a different way to disseminate that, particularly when all you have is somebody's opinion and it flies in the face of facts. But that's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with your calls to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, by the way. Don't forget, beginning tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., ESPN and ESPN Radio go all access with the 2018 World Series champion Boston Red Sox. We'll have interviews all morning with coaches and players, including David Price, who will join me on First Take tomorrow in the 11 a.m. hour Eastern Standard Time, of course. Then watch the Red Sox take on the Twins at 1 p.m. on
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
If you missed any of today's show, go check it out on demand in the Stephen A. Smith podcast. Brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, hey, what's in your wallet? Before I get back to the calls, let me say this real quick to my man Shaquille O'Neal, who turned 47 years of age today. Happy birthday, dear Shaq. Happy birthday to you. Shaquille O'Neal, happy birthday. I'm going to your restaurant right here in L.A. live today, by the way. I'm heading there. Anyway, back to the phones. James, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me real quick.
Stephen A., my brother. Nothing but love and respect for you.
Thank you, man.
First, I just want to talk about Kyler Murray, what was said about him.
I'm sorry, you only got 2 minutes, so I got to rush you. Go ahead.
Okay. Stephen A., the only negative thing he might have done was not read the history of this country, Stephen A. That's probably the only negative thing he hasn't done. Because my motto is this: hot dogs, apple pie, and a big helping of racism. That's what this is about, Stephen A. Love you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Stay strong, man.
Thank you, my man. Appreciate you. David, you live at Stephen A. Talk to me.
Sir, question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is it fair for me to think that LeBron James signing with the Lakers is more about his off-court career than his on-court career?
No, it isn't. Yes, it is fair. You can make that argument. Listen, just because LeBron James is phenomenal and he's great doesn't mean that he prioritized basketball over everything else with this move to L.A. When you listen to Ramona Shelburne, who came on this show yesterday, who does an exceptional job covering the NBA, talk about LeBron James, no press conference. Talk about LeBron James not showing up to give out the pizzas that time. Talk about LeBron James not really having a press conference or anything like that. Talks about his ventures in the Hollywood. And you listen to Bill Plaschke, who went on Will Cain's show yesterday, talking about how LeBron essentially thought that ingratiating himself with L.A. was ingratiating yourself with Hollywood, but how Hollywood isn't really where the Laker fans lie. But that's what he's connected to. Then it does appear more than fair to question whether his priority was Hollywood rather than the Lakers. But still in all, that doesn't mean he steps out on the court and give a half-ass effort. He still shows up. He's still averaging 27 a night. He's still doing what he's supposed to be doing for the most part. And we can't take that away from him, David. I got to get on out of here, but it was a good question. I appreciate your call, and it's more than fair to ask. We got to get on out of here. Happy to have this show today, especially to go off about this Kyler Murray stuff. I'm not finished. I'll get back into it and then some tomorrow, plus more Lakers. Play the Nuggets tonight and then some. Talk to y'all in 22 hours.
I've been a huge Kyler Murray supporter. I think he should go number 1 overall. But why is it if anybody has the